Hello, everyone, and welcome back. Today we're looking at some Hex Tech buildings here for doing Battletech as we kind of transition a little bit into doing a little bit more of the Battletech side of, say, like Robotech, see where it's kind of gone. We'll just kind of go from there. If there's anything from Robotech you want me to try and cover, by all means, let me know in the comments. I'm willing to try and hit some of it, but I think I've hit the vast majority of Robotech, and I figured that I was going to transition into Battletech at some point anyhow. So we're just kind of taking a little look into what Hex Tech is and what it does for us. They're not a sponsor or anything else. It's just one of those things. Having done a lot of these games for many years, we haven't done Battletech in quite a while, I'll be honest with that. But the fact that we actually have buildings that are all pre-painted, which is really kind of nice, because at my current state, my hands start cramping up and I start having problems trying to do some of this stuff. So let's look at what we get here from Hex Tech. So you can figure out if it's something worth getting if you are doing a Robotech, Battletech scenario. I know Robotech or Macross has got a current role-playing game out there. I don't know how they're really running it. I haven't looked into it. I've got enough games already. And unfortunately, I guess I'm really starting to say, and the reason why I do the series that I do is, for the most part, I'm not a big fan of a lot of how they're doing a lot of the new games. I think they're trying their own thing, which is perfectly fine, but for an old fogey like me, it's just not quite what it once was. So to say it in that regard, to me, FASA is the company that created Battletech. They're the ones that really gave us everything that we have today. We have Catalyst, which is owned by Tops, and I think I have a kitty cat trying to destroy my buildings here. Oh, silly cat. It's just, you have a company that bought out FASA because they ran into problems, and here we are. I don't think they've really added a lot to Battletech over the years, but there again, I'm not getting into a lot of the newer stuff that we have. As I have someone going after a plastic bag. These are a little heavy. There is some weight to these, but these aren't all that bad looking buildings for a futuristic world. To think that some of this stuff might be prefab and then sent across the galaxy, it's kind of a nice look. I'm not going to say it's not. No. You don't play with the knife there, kitten. All right, and then we do have bases. So we do have bases for them to sit on. So there is like a little felt on the bottom, so it's not going to scratch up your map. And then same thing on, well, this doesn't really have the felt there, but that does there. So, as I have a cat that's trying to swipe at my buildings here. These are interesting. They're kind of nice. And they're being attacked by a cat. Oh, she's definitely in a playful mood this morning. Okay. So we have one that's got a lighter color to it, and one that's got a little bit darker color. As I have a bag being, the wrapping being batted across the screen here. It's interesting how they're doing this. It's the same building, but it's all pre-painted, which is nice. These are a little bit more expensive than, say, some of the older models, maybe. And I got this from a local store. For me, I don't know how much more of this material he's going to get in, because I think he had these sitting there for a little while. So, for me, this was from Adventure Games in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. A shout out to them, because it's great having a local store. Otherwise, the store I would go to was Chimera up in Appleton, Wisconsin. So it's kind of nice having a local store. Yeah, they may compete against each other, but you know what? No matter where I go, we do have a nice group of people in either one. So I'm not going to say that either one is better than the other. It is very nice to have one a little bit more local to my small town. So in that regard, I think I usually end up over at Adventure Games. But like I said, a nice group of people. If you happen to be in the area, great place to go and see what they all have. Now we do have the next set of buildings. Now this is a tower. As we set all this up. So the second one is the Trinity City Estate. And the first one here was the university. And I guess in my little mind, because I'm old, to sit here and say it in this regard, if anyone ever remembers the old Crescent Hawk video game, which originally I think came out for Commodore 64. Crescent Hawk's Interceptions was the first one. So, and here you got to play a son of a mercenary leader, mercenary unit commander, and you had a school setting. So it was kind of nice in that regard. And of course, you get attacked or whatever, so you have to kind of defend yourself, which was a nice concept. And actually, I think it's a worthwhile concept, even for today's day and age. But back then, we didn't really have all the buildings like we do today. So we're just kind of going through some of these buildings, having some fun with this, and talking some Battletech stuff. And in the Crescent Hawks, of course, the ultimate vehicle that you eventually got was a Phoenix Hawk Lamb. For all those that remember it, for those that don't and have to go back a couple years, I think the game is... I think you can find it on shareware sites or whatever. With an emulator, you might be able to play it on your cell phone. Trying to get our tower unwrapped here. But the nice thing was, not only did you just have the game, but you had like a financial system, so you could get your equipment, you could upgrade your mechs, because what'd you have? You had a chance to get I think you had a locust, a stinger, or a wasp. You got a chameleon, which was the first time I believe we actually got to see a chameleon, because it's actually listed as a training mech. And then at the end of the game, you get a Phoenix Hawk. So, and you run around in the old classic style role-playing sense, kind of like the old Final Fantasy setup. And you could have one person in a battle mech and someone else on foot, and kind of defend yourselves. So really a early version of trying to bridge the whole kind of concept of people on foot as well as people in a mechanized unit. So trying to get all my wrappings so the cat doesn't start knocking it all over the place. So to be able to say that we can do buildings, we can have buildings here, and I don't know how well you get to see this, but because they're on hex bases, we could actually kind of almost link them together. So you have maybe military installation here, and using the old hex system, this does work pretty good to say you have a city, because each hex was supposed to be, I believe, 30 meters. So, you can build up a little city. So if you want a city to be out there or whatever, we have that availability. I don't know how many points of damage each building's going to be able to take. But, there are rules in Battletech for being able to do that for anyone interested in it. Really kind of nice to be able to go back and see some of the things that they are able to create for it. Although I'm not a big fan of some of the other things I hear from Tops. The one thing I will say that Tops has done with Catalyst is, and of course I think part of it is as well that times have changed. We've gotten better with things that we can do with resin plastics. So in that regard, I think it's an inevitability, but still the fun of being able to see that we have some buildings and all that stuff that we weren't able to do before. So again, now I got another university. So actually this is a duplicate. I bought what I could actually. I think I cleared them all out except for, actually I think I meant to grab some other terrain, not the university itself, but kind of losing my train of thought here as I'm opening things up. You know, be able to have the terrain that we couldn't really do in the past because we just didn't have the ability to use the plastics like what we can today. So, you know, it kind of changes things. And then we have a couple mechs here that I picked up, and then what we'll do is, before we start looking at doing stats or anything else or whatever, because I did post up a kind of conversion kit. Or I thought I posted, well, no, I did a video on it. I didn't post it up, but I think I probably should put that into a picture and post up for everyone. So we can have a conversion kit to take Battletech and try and put it into a Star Wars, because thinking about how we can do this in a fitting way. I think my building is leaning a little bit. I don't know if it's the base or just how the building was sitting on there. Anyways, getting back into it, I think, you know, adding everything in together, I think that there's a nice way of doing it. That would make some sense. One of the issues that Battletech I know has always really had was trying to do a good role-playing game. Now, they did a couple attempts at MechWarrior. It worked okay-ish. The only problem is trying to integrate it into their existing battlefield simulation, which is what people really just kind of get into. And I think it's for good reason. I think Battletech was a really nice battlefield simulation. I know Warhammer 40K is a big thing, but I think Battletech did a really good job at it myself. So, and then there was a couple different iterations of how to go about doing it, because they had kitten. You had a cat playing on the table she shouldn't really be on. If you wanted to get into the bigger units, they did have more of a setup for doing the bigger units, but then they also had your standard lances, or, you know, individual mechs and all that. So, you know, I think it all kind of works hand in hand, depending on what system you want to run with and how big you want your units to go. There's different ways of doing it, which is good, but and then this is the Battletech Salvage Box Mercenaries. This is one random mech. Not knowing what I was going to get out of this, so I figured, well, I'll take a chance at it, and we'll get one. So we have one unpainted, and this is a flea. So here we are with a flea. Small little mech. And then we got Inner Sphere Security Lance. I picked that up just because I want to see how they're doing their new figures, and we'll kind of get into that. So let me push this back a little bit. So there's our mechs. Here is our Security Lance. So looking at this, I am a little rusty on all the mechs, but I do happen to recognize that we have a Scorpion here. We have a Vulcan. I believe that's a Jaeger mech. And the last one here, which does escape me a little bit, and it does thankfully see on the side, we do have a Whitworth. So Jaeger mech, Scorpion, Vulcan, and Whitworth. No assembly required. It does have a card system here. I don't know exactly how they're doing their card system today. So for anyone playing the current Battletech, which I suppose there's a part of me that says maybe I should get it so I can see how they're doing this. But they do have a small card system in there. And we can look at the mechs. Now, like I said, I mean, because we can do things with the resin that we weren't able to do before, all this was being done with lead-free pewter. And actually, the original ones were done by Raw Partha, which I don't even know if that really exists much anymore. And Raw Partha and a lot of the other ones were all done over in Europe. So as we look at these and think that this was all concepts and then models that were done over in Europe many years ago. Actually, it's kind of scary to say almost 40 years ago. Actually, I think it was about 40 years ago at this point. Boy, I'm getting old. As we get Attack of the Kitty Cat. It is kind of nice that, out of the Battletech line, we did have some throwbacks to four-legged as well as having two-legged with the arms. So, these are interesting setups. We do have the cards here, and they do have some stuff talking about heat scales and everything else. Like I said, I may have to pick up the newest version of Battletech, but this is for their Alpha Strike. So if you're doing this for an Alpha Strike, which I'm guessing is going to be for a bigger unit, or maybe a faster sense of how to play it, which I don't know if I'm really looking for a faster sense. If I'm playing Battletech, I'm playing Battletech. Really what I'm looking at doing is, with their D6 system, is here we have all the wonderful mechs that we normally get. But we, all right, we're going to get the kitty cat here. But it's more of, it's really just taking everything down to, running it as a role-playing game where, yes, we may have mechs and other things, but it's really, I guess I'm going to be food today. Running it in that regard. Like I said, if I want to play Battletech, I want to play Battletech. But if I want to play a role-playing game that may have mechs in it, then I'm going to run it as a role-playing game and go from there. So with that being said, as I kind of get chewed up by the kitty cat, because apparently I must be delicious, I guess. I'll see you guys hopefully in the next video. Hopefully I don't get eaten up here by my kitten, and we'll go from there. With that, thanks for stopping by. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.